Okay, we're back. I'm Brian Pritchard, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. I'm joined this morning. My guest is Gabe Northern. Gabe is from Louisiana. Gabe, how are you doing this morning?
Great morning.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be back.
You live up in Jasper now, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're from Louisiana.
I'm from 5 minutes away from where the stuff went down.
Talk to us this morning a little bit. Just open up with us and tell us you grew up 5 minutes from where everything went down.
Yeah, I didn't live in that area, but I had cousins that lived right in that area, in that North Foster Fairfield area. I lived in a small area called Glen Oaks, and it's right around the corner. Tight knit community, and everybody's got relatives all throughout that Baton Rouge area. And so I used to be around there a good bit.
What are you hearing about back home? Have you talked to anybody?
I've talked to some people that said it's a lot going on. I've talked to others that said it's not much going on. So what I try to do is I listen to my daddy. My daddy's saying too much going on, and it's whatever they're putting out there is probably not as bad as it seems.
Well, the news media. They turn on all the lights and they come into communities and act like they care.
Oh yeah.
They act like they care and they don't remember that community no longer than they can see it in their rearview mirror.
Well, a lot of times people like to sensationalize stories to make themselves a little bit bigger. And when it comes to the media, the mainstream media, it's better for their ratings to have controversy. Peace doesn't sell anything. Controversy sells like hotcakes.
Controversy sells. Gabe, let me ask you a question, and I do want to know from you. Talk to me a little bit. What's your feelings of the organization Black Lives Matter? Is it productive? What is it doing? Is it tell me a little bit about what you think about this organization Black Lives Matter.
I can tell you not much about Black Lives Matter because I didn't even look into the situation. I believe that every life matters, no matter where you're from, no matter what your background is, your ethnicity. I believe that every life matters. I believe that if you come in contact with me, at that point, immediately, your life matters to me. Now, once after we get to know each other, then I can determine how much or how that life would matter. But I give every fellow man, no matter what your skin tone is, I give them every benefit and every opportunity to be a human being that I can love, that I can befriend, and that I can better my life and our lives together if that's our goal. I believe that Black Lives Matter was created after some people saw a need to create that organization because a lot of people feel like our lives don't matter. So just like with some other groups from different backgrounds, in every organization, there will be some people who use that organization to their gain or misuse the organization to their gain. And from what I'm hearing, that is what's happening with the Black Lives Matter movement. But I don't know because, like I said, I didn't research it because to me, all lives matter. And being a black man, I know that my life matters. But I've been in a situation to where I have been on the opposition of the law, and I felt like that my life did not matter to them because I've had the guns pulled on me, and I have complied, and still have to face some of the abuse of power by some of these people who abuse the badge.
Well, let's talk about that. Why do you think tensions are so high in some of these communities in the country?
It's hard to say because I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of discipline, the lack of respect, and the lack of education. Bigger than that is a lack of money and a lack of resources. So if there's an area that has all of these lacks, then sometimes people take drastic measures to get what they feel is their necessity or to provide for their family. And in this community, in particular in Baton Rouge, there really is not a lot of opportunity for success, or not a lot of opportunity to climb out of the hole that certain families may find themselves in. So, what do you do when you feel like that?
What do you feel? What do you feel is different about when a police officer? What is the talk? I mean, I hear on the news. It bothers me a little bit when I keep hearing people say to black males, "Have you had the talk with your son?" What is the talk? Explain the talk.
It's a real deal now. I feel like in Louisiana in particular, because let me say this first and foremost. One of the great things about being here in this part of the country is that I've been able to walk around this whole place, this whole Pickens County, Gilmer area, LJ, Blue Ridge, and people that I've come in contact with have saw me for the man that I am, how I walk, how I talk, how I present myself, the fact that I am involved in my community, giving back to my community as I try to be a successful American businessman. So I've been treated as an equal here. And just like back home, you see a lot of rebel flags around here, but to me, I feel like it's different. Now, I know what it means back home. The rebel flag has been a symbol of hate, a symbol of the Klan. And so it's a big difference when you can feel and present yourself as a man and people treat you as such. But then on the other hand, to have seen it the other way, I know how it can go. And I've seen it in Louisiana. The hatred has spilled over into to where now there's unimaginable talks being held by some groups, some white groups, some black groups. And man, forgive me for getting off topic, but it's
That's okay. That's okay.
It's so crazy to me because that's where I'm from. But to have the talk, it's definitely a necessity. I had the talk. My folks had the talk with me and my brother about how to behave and how to present ourselves. But there's some things that happen out that the talk doesn't cover, because we were taught to walk and talk a certain way and react a certain way if confronted, and about being in the right and being in the wrong. But sometimes it's happened to me where I've been 100% right and still been in the wrong, and I know it's because of my skin color or because I fit the description. So my thing is, in Louisiana in particular, when our parents are having that talk to us, black men, black kids, about being successful and how we have to be better just to be equal. At that same time, when our parents are having that talk with us about being better and being equal, are there other families saying, you are so far better and they are so unequal? Because that's what this thing is about. It's about equality. That's what Black Lives Matter was started for, to bring more attention to the inequalities and the lack of rights.
But why are we waiting to now? I mean, why now? Let me ask you a question.
I can
because
tell you why now.
You're sporting a little gray,
Yeah.
but I might have a year or two on you.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, okay? Let me ask you this. Let me set this up. But the government was supposed to fix this, and I cannot stand generalizing a race. I cannot stand to say black people, white people. I can't stand that. That bothers me. I can't stand generalizing.
Bothers me too.
Okay, but the government was supposed to fix this. The Great Society, they were supposed to go into low-income areas and provide housing and provide assistance. And what happened? I mean, how did we get where we're at?
Being a business owner and being a football coach, I've noticed there's sometimes when people don't want to play for you, or sometimes people don't want to work for you. And I feel like once Barack Obama became president, a lot of people decided that, man, I ain't working for that black dude. I ain't gonna listen to him. Why? If I work for him, I'm making him look good. And to me, that's one of the most unpatriotic and treasonous acts you can do. Is not follow the instruction of the leader. Now, it's not like President Obama came out and just handed black people America or any group a specific segment, just handed them America. But like I said, being a coach and being a businessman, I know there are people who didn't want to work for me or give their all, and a lot of times it felt like it was because of a racial issue, and it's easy to pick at it because it's kind of like being on a team. You wear that jersey, I wear this jersey, and then there's a referee. The referee gives the one team certain benefits, but the other team, you can't get a call. You can't get that home cooking in certain areas. So I feel like that to me is a big problem, especially in Louisiana. I think the racial divide in Louisiana, the lack of education, because if you look at it, Louisiana is one of the worst states in education, the worst states in poverty, the worst states in growth, the worst states in progression. So then, I mean, 'cause I went to LSU. I went right down the street to school, and I tried to be a successful man, a successful black man in Louisiana. So why am I not there? I think because they want to keep the fighting going on. I think they want to keep it separate.
What happened since 1968? Why are we here now? I mean, we put some things in place in 1968. I personally feel things were headed in the right direction in this country. I do feel that. I get disappointed because we have allowed certain areas of these cities to be to where people can't go in there. Police are tense in these areas. The citizens are tense in these areas. They're living in very, very poor conditions. How did we get to this point? Is there not something wrong that the black male population in this country is the highest demographic unemployed today? Is that not, where did we go wrong here with these young men? Not with them, but I mean, I think we've done something wrong here in America.
It's so many thoughts go through my mind when it comes to the topic because I've seen it. I've been, my goal was to do exactly what we're doing right now in Baton Rouge. I went to LSU. I majored in broadcast. I graduated with honors. I didn't plan on going to the NFL. That was just a lot of luck, a lot of hard work, and fortunate breaks went my way. But once I got done, I went back to Baton Rouge and tried to be a successful businessman, tried to do the same types of things, but nobody would open those doors for me. I went to the alumni that I worked my summer job for, the alumni that I worked my Christmas job for. I went to them for advice on how to become a successful man in that community, and they didn't teach me. So they're not going to teach me, the all-American good guy from right over the street who came down, who chose to stay home. I chose to stay home. I was going to go to school in Miami, but I chose to stay home because I didn't have aspirations. I dreamed of going to the NFL, but my real aspiration was to be a broadcaster in my town. I wanted to be the voice for my people, a voice for my people. And you see how I stand. You see how I am. If you get more guys like me into the schools, into the churches, talking to the kids, giving programs and showing people how to become a better black man. Because I feel like we have, and I'm talking to any black man, a black father, we have to do better ourselves. When times get tough, we can't run from our children. So we can't blame everything on a white man. We can't blame everything on a policeman. We have to take charge ourselves and take the blame ourselves for what we have failed to do as black men by leaving our children behind, by leaving our children uneducated, by sending them to school hungry, sending them to school with no faith, with no God in their lives. So I take responsibility as a black man that we have failed the system. But I believe too that the system has failed us. Because if you're not gonna give me the opportunity, you're not gonna give that guy you wanna call a thug the opportunity, he has less opportunity than me because he has less education than me. Fortunately for me, I was able to make it to the NFL and make some money that I can fall back on. Get the education I can fall back on and still walk around here like a successful, respectable man. That's why I have the opportunity to interact with you. That's why you said, man, I need to get this dude's opinion. So
Well, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying. There's been failure on several parts, and what I like what you just said, Gabe, is you're talking about the side of the responsibility that the media will not talk about. Okay, the media will not talk about the side of responsibility, and this is for all men in America. Because your families, take care of your families, but they will not talk about this side of the discussion. And I sit there and I think to myself, okay, we put a welfare system in place, and we told women that if the husband lived in the house, okay, if the husband lived in the house, they couldn't get their check. So we created ways to tell them to not bring the father into the life, the government. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen all these things go on and on and on. But one thing you touched on that is very strong. It's just personal responsibility.
Yes, sir. I feel the need to go back to Louisiana, just like I did when I was done playing ball, to go back to Louisiana and help out in this situation. Because believe it or not, there is a war going on. There's several wars going on. There's black on black wars. There's wars against authority and the police, the law enforcement. There's and it's not just black people. I think it's more of a class thing. There's a certain class that doesn't get certain respects by law enforcement that forces that powder keg to add more fuel to that flame. I feel like any man should want to help out in his community, because we all know it takes a village to raise a child. So if we're not going to be a part of these solutions, then we're a part of the problem. And like we said earlier, the problems get more attention than the solutions. You go out there and you host an event with all the people around here getting together. It's going to get 5, maybe 2 minutes on the news. Go down and kill somebody though. Now you leading the thing. Now you're leading the news off.
Right.
So you help the whole community. You may get a snippet at the end of the broadcast. Kill somebody though.
I have a question for you. What about the relationship with these communities and the police officers? What about this relationship? Where have we got in America? Now, I have a thought that every time they say retrain the police officers to interact with the black community in these neighborhoods, I call that a translation for retrain the police officers. Now we have neighborhoods that we just want them to accept lawlessness. I mean, because some of these neighborhoods, they're to the point that they're almost lawless. Mm-hmm. And what is your take on the relationship with police officers in this country in these neighborhoods?
Well, let's look at it from an old school standpoint. I watch a whole lot of westerns, Long Range, or Bonanza, Gunsmoke. What did they do back then when their towns, when they had lawlessness going on? They went with that Second Amendment, where people bared their arms and said, look here, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take this town back. And you either going to get with us or you're going to get gone. Something's going to happen. Something needs to change. So in order to reestablish that power, a lot of people need to band together. A lot of good people need to band together. And one of the worst things right now is that it's going, it seems like it's going to take a few more deaths to bring forth a better life. That's just the reality that we are faced with right now. I believe that certain policemen need to police their own areas, though, because I think then you can have a more peaceful dialogue instead of, let's pull out our guns and shoot at each other. I think it can be done. I think people of influence can make it be more of a nonviolent and a peaceful transition back to some type of normalcy.
But don't you believe that the politicians just want to sensationalize this for the votes that they can get out of it for the next election to win, and the care is really not there? I mean, that's just my opinion. The care is really not there of what we really need to do in these communities. Do you not think that we have let go and we really are? I don't think the politicians care. That's just my opinion. When I say in the whole, I don't think they care. I think the police are up against their tension. There's tension in the community, and I don't want anybody to get shot. I don't want anybody to get shot. I don't like anything about that. But I just think that these politicians have used this as a political ploy, and they're really not interested in helping the communities. That's my thought.
I know for sure that the lack of our politician, our major politician, our mayor in Baton Rouge has become a big problem. I can only speak on what I've seen on social media because I don't watch the news, because it's so much negativity and violence. But our mayor has not done enough to address these issues, the violence and the poverty and the lack of education. He has not stepped up to the plate to address these issues. And when you have a weak government and a weak leadership in your area, that leads to the irresponsibility and the failure of the people who take care of that area. Everybody wants to, you want to go from mayor to governor, lieutenant governor to Congress. You want to do all that. That's fine and dandy. But let your work dictate that that's the climb that you should make. Don't let your mouth write checks that you aren't willing to cash. If you're not going to do what's best for the constituents of your area, then get out of there. Impeach yourself. Get out of office. Because that's unpatriotic, that's un-American. To leave your people behind, to leave them uneducated, to leave them dumb, to leave them poor. The best thing that we can do as Americans is uplift one another. If you see somebody down, you help them up. Don't push people down. You bring people up. There's a dichotomy. There's still slaves in America. I feel like this, man. If I was in this day and age, let's say I was a plantation owner, and things flipped over to where now slaves have rights, which is what happened in America. Man, you know what? One of the most noble things that I could do if I had been a slave owner is to create and educate the slaves that I owned, to create them and turn them into better Americans. Because when black people first got here, we weren't Americans. We weren't even human. But now that we know this is the case, you know what? Everybody that is here is a part of this human race. Everybody who's in America, if you were born, I stopped at a store before. The lady had a shirt on. 100% red-blooded American. If you were born in America, you are 100% red-blooded American. That's what you are. I lived in Canada for a little bit. They never mentioned race up there. Never. I never one time heard somebody say, yeah, the Palestinian guy, or the Arab guy, the Croatian guy, the Serbian lady, the Venezuelan guy. And it was all up there. They was just all Canadians. So if they can do that over the border, why can't we just all be Americans here? The best thing we can do as Americans is help other Americans be prosperous and enjoy all the freedom that America was designed to create.
Let me get a couple things in. I've got Congressman Doug Collins at 9 o'clock, so, and our time's short. You said something that just interests me. You said we're all Americans. And why can't we just be all Americans? I'm okay. I'm with you 100%. But don't you think we went the wrong direction in labeling everybody Asian American, Persian American, African American? Did we not go the wrong direction doing that? Shouldn't we just all remain Americans? You were born here?
I was born in Louisiana.
I was born here too. You know what? I have never been to Europe. I got an opportunity to go to Australia one time on a mission trip. But as far as Europe, I've never had an opportunity. I didn't go there. Father wasn't born there. Grandfather wasn't born there. I mean, I guess you can keep going back and you can find somebody there, which we have. But you know what I'm saying? So I'm not. I'm not European American. I'm not, British American, whatever. And I don't even get up and think like that. I think, man, I am, baseball, apple pie. I know football. I'm sorry, man. So I get confused at why we had to go and take these labels. I have a friend of mine, Mr. Derek Grayson. I don't know if you know Mr. Grayson, but Derek Grayson is a gentleman, a black gentleman that ran for Senate 2 times here in Georgia. And Derek Grayson will tell you he's never been to Africa. Mm-hmm. And he these are his words. I've never been to Africa. Don't call me an African American. I'm an American. 100%, just like the T-shirt said. So didn't we kind of, when you say what happened in Canada, didn't we kind of make a pretty big mistake starting to compartmentalize and set people up in certain groups?
It's like the game of football. If you have on a different outfit for me, now I can label you, and that's what America has done. America wants to give everybody a label. When, as you said, we should all just be Americans. I mean, if I was overseas in one of these countries that we have problems with, or that we perceive problems with, I'd be laughing at America right now, because we've decided, a lot of us have decided to separate ourselves due to skin color. When whatever country we may be up against, they are what they are. There's no African Iraqis. There's no European Iraqis. There's no African Afghanistanis. We are the ones who chose those labels. We are the ones who made that label. The people that we go up against, they laughing at us because we fighting against each other when we all supposed to be on the same team.
2 more things. It upsets me, because I'm going to be frank with you, because you and I have gotten to know each other, and one of the many things I enjoy about you, Gabe, is we can talk. And I am one. I do not like every time something like this happens, the first thing they know how to pull out of the dresser drawer and put on TV is Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. I can't stand that. And in fact, I hurt for the communities where these people are the voice of that. What say you?
How about we just move past that? I don't want to.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Let's be real, man.
All right. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, it upsets me. I watch the news and I'm like, these are the people you trot out to talk about race in America. Okay, we'll move on.
Well, I don't think any black person calls them Let's just put it like that.
Thank you. Done. You heard that here. They don't. Okay.
I don't think nobody that I know. Hey man, look, we need Jesse and Al down here.
All right,
Get
all
them
right.
down here.
Let's
right
move
now.
past
That's
that.
not happening.
All
That's
right.
not happening.
All right, let's move past that. That's great. Martin Luther King. I like to watch a lot of the older movies that document our history and read Martin Luther King, the great speech at the Washington Monument, at the plaza there, March on Selma. I mean, aren't we going the wrong direction of what the great Martin Luther King had in store for America? See, to me, it's not what he actually had in store for you, the black community. He had in store for America to embrace the black community. I mean, he said he wanted to go in a classroom and he wanted to see a white child with a textbook and a black child with the same textbook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So his vision of what he wanted to see of America, what are we doing to that as America today?
I think we've taken a few steps forward, but we've taken a lot of steps back, and it's a shame that people have to still go against the doctrines that he taught. It's so easy. It's so easy and natural to be peaceful. It's easy and natural for me to see my fellow man and shake his hand or give him a head nod or let him know, hey man, I see you over there doing your thing. I see you over there working. And that's what it should be about. But man, it's so much separatism that the dream has become a nightmare. We should all want success and the pursuit of happiness for our fellow man. And some people are still thinking like the 1770s. Some people are still thinking like the 1840s, the 1870s. People are still dwelling way back on things that happened a long time ago when, hey man, we all are Americans. And whether you like it or not, that's what we are. So why can't we just all be on that one team?
Strong defender of the Second Amendment?
Well, I just wanted to bring my hat to make a statement. But I mean, because I do believe in my rights.
Do you not get a little upset when something takes place and the first thing they want to do is blame the gun or blame, they think that some kind of legislation can heal something and taking some of our rights away?
Well, at this point, the gun maker is the happiest man in America. Because the gun maker has no problems with what's going on. He's still getting paid.
They're ordering them every day, right?
Hey, the gun maker, the bullet maker.
We have to talk about some other things, but presidential election coming up this weekend. Do you have any opinions on that?
Oh man, I don't get into politics too much.
Well, then that means there's a league get into it a little.
Hey, I don't get into politics too much. Let me just stick to my football and my yoga.
Okay.
All right. I believe that both of the leading candidates need to come to see me and do some yoga because we need to breathe. We need to take some time.
You need to see
breathe.
both candidates. You need to have a talk with them. They need to come see you.
Man, I wish I could. Hillary and Trump, man, y'all come see me. Come see me so we can get this thing together.
Gabe, I want to thank you so much this morning. I want to invite you back anytime. There's some things I really want to get into and talk about. We did not touch on Dallas. How do you feel about knowing these police officers? It doesn't matter, like you said, there's just never, it's never right, it's never okay what took place in Dallas.
It's never okay. It's never okay what took place in Dallas. On so many different levels. I try my best to not speak on things that I don't know about, and I wasn't there, but I know a lot of people in law enforcement. I almost became a member of law enforcement. And I know that the war that they're fighting is a tough war because there are more guns available. There are more high-powered drugs available. So when you add that to the mix, when you add the lacks that are there, and the bigger and more destructive weapons to the mix, now our law enforcement, now they're forced to be on guard a little bit more, and a little bit more skeptical, and erratic behavior happens, which led to some of these events.
So, like something you said, you do something really good in the community and you bring people together, and it gets 30 seconds at the end of the newscast. You kill somebody, it leads the newscast, okay? Realistically, I hate to put it like this and kindly make this an ending note. More whites are killed by police officers in America, maybe just because statistically there are more white people than black males.
That's like black people getting killed in Jasper.
Right.
I'm the only black dude.
Right. Don't shoot. And then, but that's a statistic. Statistically, the crime that we can look at, how many are we up to 325 of somewhere this year alone, or 200 plus this year alone, that are killed in Chicago that are not by cops, by each other. I think what infuriates me is when a young kid wants to sit on the stoop in the middle of the summer and sitting out there playing hopscotch or something, and some drug guy comes by and they're shooting at each other, and this little kid is killed, and that makes 30 seconds at the end of the news. But white cop kills black man, have news trucks will travel, that sells. And they are the ones adding the fuel to this issue.
Yeah, it's a lot of different media outlets adding fuel to the issue. And I know some of it's real, because I've had guns pulled on me a few times by law enforcement, and I've been completely right. I've been completely compliant.
Well, look, I've got to go. I've got to talk to Congressman, but it's like you said, a black man shot in Jasper, right?
Hey.
Don't do it, right?
Hey,
right?
if something happened to me in Jasper, hey, y'all better march or come do something, because I ain't messing up.
I get my sign out, okay?
Hey.
I get my sign out. But if you want to meet the sheriff of Gilmer County, Sheriff Station Nicholson is going to be stopping by. You can let him know you're the black guy coming through. Hey. All right. Glad to have you. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We're talking to Gabe Northern. Gabe Northern grew up just about 5 minutes. He has family in the area in Louisiana, where Anton Sterling was killed. Alton Sterling was killed. And we're going to go to break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to have Congressman Doug Collins on the line, see what's going on up there in Washington, D.C. We'll see what he's got going on, and then also ask him for his opinion this morning of what's going on in this country. I'm your host, BKP. Lonnie, take us to break.